I probably should have started with this episode when I relaunched the podcast, but never mind. Here we are. We're back for episode 2, and I actually think this is going to be the most important episode that I ever do, because at the end of the day, if you're choosing to listen to me waffle on for half an hour every single week, then you probably need to know a little bit more about me. You might be listening to this and you might think you have an idea about who I am based off of my Instagram or Facebook, but I'm going to open up a bit more on today's episode. I'm going to essentially give you a backstory about what has happened in my life over the past few years that has ultimately taught me a lot of lessons and essentially made me who I am today, and the things that have shaped my values and what I stand for. So let me take you back. I went to Exeter College after doing a year of AS levels, the first year of A levels at teen school, and I hated the AS levels, so I tried to move to college straight away, but I couldn't. I had to write it out, and I eventually went to college in 2014, which, oh my god, is 11 years ago now. Absolutely mad. And I studied BTEC Sports and Excellence, and I also did the Netball Academy alongside that. And back then, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do after college. I just knew that I really enjoyed sport. I really enjoyed exercise. I kind of went to the gym. I just like dibbled and dabbled in all of it really, and didn't really have a clear idea. But I was so adamant that after college, I was going to leave and I was going to go and get a full-time admin job. Now, just as a side note, there's nothing wrong if you have a full-time admin job, but let's just say I guess I kind of knew I was just being a bit lazy. I knew that I was trying to take the easy route, but I genuinely did not know what I actually wanted to do. And at the time, my college tutor, Fabs, he basically told me that I was not allowed to go and get an admin job and that I had to go and do something else, because I guess maybe he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. So he suggested the PT qualification, and that's what I went on to do. So September 2017, I did the PT qualification for 4 months and qualified in January September 16, I did the qualification, qualified in January 17, and I got very lucky. I got a PT job literally a week before I actually qualified. I was at the new, at the time, Snap Fitness in Exeter, and I got offered a position. I was just chatting in there to the manager and got offered a job. So I was genuinely chucked in at the deep end, right? When I qualified, I thought, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to pick up clients easily. I'm going to live my best life. I get to work in a gym. It's going to be so much fun. Christ, I was so wrong. So wrong. The next 12 months of my life were not what I thought they would be. They weren't enjoyable. They weren't that fun. There were obviously fun moments in it, but that was probably the first year, and I was obviously still very young. I just turned 20 at this point. That was probably the first year where I thought, wow, like this is a real pivotal point in my life. This is a real changing point. And yeah, it just wasn't great. So for the next sort of year, I was trying to do a job that obviously I had no idea what I was doing because I'd just qualified. I was trying to help people feel great in themselves, and I didn't even feel good in myself at this point, but there we are. I was trying to help people lose weight, tone up, build muscle, etc. And I just felt like the biggest fraud ever, because I think because I was chucked in at the deep end, because I didn't have any idea what I was actually doing and how to run a business. Like at the time, PT qualifications had no business topic or business section in them. So like you're literally just taught how many calories to give someone and what exercises to get them to do, but you're not taught any people skills. You're not taught how to run a business. You're not taught how to like run yourself, like how to look after yourself. So it was just such like a minefield that I was in. And unfortunately, I wasn't working with some very nice people. There were some great people, like my manager, my assistant manager, they were amazing. But there were a couple of people, a couple of PTs in there that I worked with that just weren't nice. They were just really horrible people, and I felt so belittled at the time. And they did have a bit more experience than me, but they were also very heavily into like bodybuilding and training and stuff, and that wasn't me at the time. Like I was just PTing because my college tutor told me to do it. I wasn't PTing because I was in love with the gym. And so yeah, it was just a really strange time, and I felt so lost, and I didn't feel good enough. Like, I didn't actually feel like I should have been there. And so I left. I quit after probably 15 months there, 12 to 15 months, somewhere around there. I just left the industry, and I still had my foot in the door. I was still teaching my boxercise class that I'd been running privately, and I continued to do that. But other than that, I just gave it up, and I went and did what Fabs told me not to do, which was I got an office job. And yeah, I thought that was kind of it. I thought that was the way in which my life was going to go. So I was at this office job for about 18 months. And like, I enjoyed it. I worked with some amazing people, and it was fun. And it was actually a office job where I was like selling wedding shoes. How random, going from PTing to selling wedding shoes. But it was genuinely great fun, and I look back at that period of my life and I'm like, I actually really enjoyed myself, and I learned a lot about myself in that time. I made some great friends. I probably started to find out like who I was and who maybe I wanted to be. So much so that about 18 months later, I actually rejoined the industry. So this was November 2019. And when I rejoined, I wanted to make sure I didn't leave again. That was one of the main things. But there was like this big shift in me that happened. And when I was like writing the notes for this episode, I was really trying to think, okay, what was that shift? And I think the biggest shift was realising that it was always a me problem. Always a me problem. I left the industry because of how I was feeling, but I wasn't doing anything about how I was feeling. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't training. I wasn't learning more. I was angry that I didn't know how to run a business yet. I was doing nothing about it. And I think part of that was down to age. Like, I was 20 at the time, and that is young. But yeah, I had to take the responsibility for it. It was always a me problem. I always had more to give. I should have given more. And I had to take responsibility for it and actually do something about it. At the end of the day, I was the only one that had control over what I did. And therefore, I knew that rejoining, I had to do things properly. I had to take responsibility. I had to make sure that I made a change, because if I didn't make a change, who was going to do it for me? I'd just be in the same position. Christ, I didn't want to be embarrassed again by leaving the industry twice. And I think deep down as well, I knew that like I wanted to be part of the industry. I knew that I did have a passion for it, and I just hadn't worked hard enough. That was the bottom line. I hadn't done what I needed to do. So I had to make sure that this was it. So that was November 2019. And I rejoined the industry at the gym group in Exeter. Genuinely had the best couple of years of my life there. That was so much fun. The people I got to work with, obviously Nat, my best friend, we actually knew each other before then, because we got a mutual best friend as well, but we were never friends ourselves, which was so weird. And then we obviously worked together and became the best of friends, and yeah, here we are. So I had the best time. Really enjoyed it. Was starting to build up a business. November 19, when I rejoined, I got a business coach. Like, I was like, I'm doing this properly this time, and it was going really well. And then obviously March 2020 came around and lockdown happened. And look, I know for a fact I am so fortunate that I was still living at home, that, you know, my mum and dad are amazing. At the time, my sister, brother-in-law and my niece were also living with us. So we actually did have quite a good time in lockdown, and I actually quite enjoyed being at home. But there was one thing that really happened before that was like a really big changing point for me. So literally a week before we went into the first lockdown, I did a charity challenge where I climbed, what did I do? I climbed the height of Mount Everest on the Stairmaster in about 22 hours, just over 22 hours. And the day after, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought, Christ, I'm going to have lost loads of weight, even though I was like living off of cakes and sweets and that while I was doing the challenge. Anyway, the day after, me and Nat were like, right, let's take our progress photos and let's do a bit of a summer challenge. So we both took like each other's progress photos in the toilets in the gym group. And I remember looking at these photos when I got home. I literally remember the moment and I was like, I literally just thought, what? Like, that's not me. I didn't even recognise myself. And then I look back at the photos that some people had taken of me during the challenge, and I was like, oh my God, is that actually who I am? Is that actually what I look like? I honestly hated what I saw. And I was so almost oblivious to it. But at the same time, I don't think I was oblivious to it. I just think I hadn't maybe faced the music with it. I hadn't actually really taken a moment to go, Christ, this is not good enough. Like, what are you doing? I'd spend my days trying to make my clients feel amazing, but I didn't even feel it myself. And again, I was like, I'm such a fraud. Like, how can I stand here and go, you need to look after yourself by doing X, Y, and Z if I'm not doing it myself? And it was just such this, like, I don't know, hard-hitting moment, but also eye-opening moment, and a bit of a, right, Rach, sort your shit out, because this is not okay. So, as I said, the week after lockdown hit, and that was the time where I was like, I'm doing this now. Like, I have to sort myself out. And I knew that when we went back to work after lockdown, I didn't want to feel the same way. So I made a change. But obviously I fell into the trap that so many women did in lockdown, which was the Courtney Black workout challenge trap. And look, don't get me wrong, I actually do think it helps me to have a focus during that time, because I wasn't obviously PTing, so I was kind of at home twiddling my thumbs. I hadn't started Level Up at this point. I wasn't doing online coaching. I wasn't really doing a lot. I was doing some live workouts, but that was about it. I needed a focus. So as I said, the Courtney Black workouts were great for a focus, but it was just too much on reflection looking back. But anyway, I didn't know that at the time. So I did that and I lost a lot of weight. And I remember going back to work after lockdown feeling bloody amazing. And at that point I was like, right, this is it, this is what I need to do. And of course, then over the next few months and the next year or so, I went back to old habits. I went back to feeling uncomfortable and not liking what I saw in the mirror, and I did like a photo shoot. There was just so many things that I did in the next period of time that I don't even know why I did them, to be honest, but at the end of the day I still didn't get to this point where I thought I had got to in lockdown, which was, I thought I felt great, but actually it was just a temporary fix. And there was so much more work I needed to do, but I didn't even know it at the time. Literally didn't know it. But I kept going and I kept doing different workout plans, and then I'd train some weeks and then other weeks I wouldn't train, and again I'm still a PT, I'm still encouraging people to do it, but I wasn't bloody doing it myself. And I do look back now and think, Christ, those people that I worked with at the time, I actually feel really sorry for them, because they were trying to take advice from someone that didn't do it themselves. So they either had no idea that I wasn't doing it, or they just thought they would just trust in my word. So thank you if you were one of my clients back then for trusting in me, because Christ, if I was like that now, Level Up would not be what it is today, without a doubt. Like, without a doubt. So as I said, kept going over the next year, couple of years or so, and then we received some news in our family in September 2021 that was like so heartbreaking, and I'm not gonna say what it is or anything like that, but it was a really big moment in my life. And I remember the next day I went into work. I actually scared the life out of Nat, I think, because I sent her a message and I went, I need to talk to you when I get into work. And she was obviously panicking, thinking, Christ, what have I done? And as in, what's she done? And bless her. So I told her what had happened, or told her the news when I got into work, and I just felt in that moment like, why us? Like, why has this happened? This is not fair. Like, why? And you always think things are going to happen to other people, but you never think it's going to happen to you. And when it does, you just feel like everything around you is just collapsing. And you just honestly don't know what to do. And then about a month later, give or take, I just had a bit of like a realisation that this news is out of my control. It's out of all of our controls. So all we can really do is focus on what we can control and do the best with everything that we have. And keep going and keep showing up and keep working hard and do the things that make you feel great and keep smiling and keep laughing and all of these things that I know sound so obvious maybe, but in the moment it's so hard to do. So hard to do. But I truly believe that moment was a massive catalyst, massive, behind everything that I now choose to do and how I choose to live. So much so that actually I just started Level Up not long before, and it's fair to say it's obviously doing very well. So I believe that drive that moment gave me has helped me massively to get to where we are right now. Massively. So as I said, we got the news, and life has to go on. Life does go on. And then we get to May 2022, and oh Christ, it's not a big deal now, right? But let's just rewind 3 years. In the moment, I thought I was in love, and it was the biggest deal in the world at this moment in time. And I got cheated on. Woohoo! And it was such a big knock on my confidence. Huge knock. Obviously it's going to be. I felt horrendous. I didn't eat for like 2 weeks. It was just bloody awful. And in hindsight, I look back now and I realise the reason I reacted like that, obviously because it's a bad thing and no one wants that to happen, but the real reason is because, and the reason my confidence was knocked so much is because I depended so much on someone else to make me feel great, but I didn't actually feel it myself. Like, forget the being cheated on. I just relied on someone else to make me feel good in myself, but I wasn't actually doing anything to make myself feel good. I was just expecting other people to make me feel that way. And that's not how it works. That's not how it should work. And so obviously then when you're cheated on, you just feel like the whole world's crumbling around you. And that's not me saying it's not a nice thing. Of course it's not. It's awful. Like, it literally happened to me then a year later as well, and it is so shit. But in the grand scheme of things, it's actually all right. And it definitely works out for the better in the end. But about, after it happened and after I kind of got my head sort of straight, even though I didn't actually leave the relationship for like another 9 months, but anyway, started to work on myself and actually take care of myself properly. And I mean at this point, like, properly, because I thought, I'm not going through my own bullshit any longer. I'm not listening to the stories that I tell myself any longer. I'm not holding myself back from things. I'm not prepared to just live an average life where I don't feel great. Like, what is the point? We literally have one life. We get one chance here. So what is the point in just coasting by? There's not. So made that promise to take care of myself, and I made sure that I did things that would serve me. but like not just things that in the moment would make me feel okay, but things that actually would work long term, like things that would make me feel good for good. And I made that promise to work harder on myself than I ever had done before, ever. And so like the next sort of year was like a really, really strong point for me. And I obviously got out of the relationship and then had a temporary one in between where the same thing happened, but that was fine. That was just like a cry about it for a day, and then I got on a flight to Dubai the next day, so I actually really quickly got over that one. And I went to Dubai to find myself, obviously. No, I went to Dubai to see if I wanted to move out there. And I went out initially just for 10 days because I had actually Nat's little boy's christening to come back to, and a couple of work events, and then I went back out there for about 4 weeks, and I hated it. I literally hated it. I didn't like being away from my family. I love the heat and I love being in the sun, etc. But I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And maybe that was how I was feeling. Who knows at the time, but I'm glad that I tried it, because I would have kicked myself had I not. But it just, it was not for me. So anyway, I went to Dubai, but I did have the best time, in the sense of I spent time on my own. I really got to know myself. I know a couple of people out there, so I met up with them a few times, but most of the time I was on my own, and just enabled me to really try and find out who I was. Came back, felt great, really started to look after myself, continued to look after myself. And then in April 2024, kind of just went downhill from there, really. And look, I can't actually say anything really on here, but something did happen in my personal life. And August last year, like when what happened, it was a huge turning point for me, like massive. And I feel like we all have these turning points in our lives where something happens and in the moment it feels like the end of the world, but you look back and you go, oh my God, I am so glad that happened to me. In that moment, for about 2 or 3 weeks, and probably actually in the lead up to that moment, like literally right from the April, but I wouldn't have known it at the time, but looking back, that was like where I fully lost myself again. But especially from the August, for about 2 or 3 weeks, which I know is not a long period of time, but when you're in it, Christ almighty, it feels like the end of the world. I genuinely lost myself again, and I felt like I just lost everything around me. Like, that was awful. I was hardly eating. I dropped a lot of weight. Obviously lost a lot of strength. I didn't look very well. I look back at photos and I actually thought I looked quite good, because I was like, oh, I've lost weight. I look freaking awful. Like, just so drained, so sad, so broken. And I actually just feel so sorry for that girl. And like, I do sometimes sit there and think about it, and like, it's not something that's dealt with, should we say, or like fully ended, but I do really think about that girl, me, which is weird to say because I don't feel like her anymore, but I think about her this time last year and everything that she was about to go through, and I'm like, oh, like really, really sad for her. But at the same time, I'm so freaking glad it happened, like so glad, because I would not be in this position that I'm in right now, where I'm in the best place possible, currently in my own house, but won't be for much longer, which is very exciting. I have the best people around me ever, including Dom, obviously. Like, everything is meant to happen the way it's meant to happen. And what I really learned from what happened last year is, again, like, make everything a you problem, because it's so much easier to deal with. This was not a me problem at all, in the slightest, but it's made my life easier by controlling what I can and taking responsibility for what I can. And like, I made a decision a couple of weeks later I moved back in with my parents, and I'm so blessed and lucky with my parents. Like, I could have easily stayed there, but I was like, no, I need to get myself out. So I got a place on my own, started to rebuild myself, and I also rejoined my coach, Christian, who I'm still with right now. I was with him for a little bit of time, and I actually left him about April last year, which is funny because that's when things maybe went the way they did. So made sure, rejoined him, and I was like, this is my bloody time now. This is time for me. And here I am. I feel bloody amazing. So good. And I think what I've learned from that is there's always going to be things that happen in your life, and look, there's still stuff that's going on in the background of mine, but I'm in the best place possible. And if I didn't take care of myself, I wouldn't be able to deal with the things that I have dealt with and I'm currently dealing with. There's no way, shape or form I could stand here today and say all this stuff if I wasn't actually really looking after myself. And I don't just mean looking after what I look like. I mean taking care of what I actually think, how I actually behave, who I spend time with. Like, all of these things really matter. And I don't think people really appreciate that enough. I think we're still, unfortunately, in a society, especially with the new bloody injections that have come out, where we're so focused on what we look like, we don't actually think about the other things that matter way more. Because I know that I genuinely love how I look right now, right? We're 2 weeks away from Croatia. I'm feeling bloody amazing. The best I probably have ever felt. But I know I wouldn't feel this way had I not done all the other stuff. Had I not got myself to this point where I actually feel really calm and at peace with where I'm at, whilst obviously driving for the next level. But I wouldn't feel like this if I hadn't done all of the internal work, and had I not, taken responsibility for things that have happened. So, I've been in the place where I've never felt good enough. I've been in the place where I've had my confidence knocked out of me, where I relied on other people to make me feel confident instead of actually feeling confident myself. And I've had things happen to me. I've been that person that's gone, why me? I have been there, and look, I might not have lived your life, but I've still lived my life, and I've still dealt with things, and I've still had to overcome them. And maybe this podcast has like made you realise that Rach isn't just suddenly like this. Like, I've gone through stuff to get myself to this point, and look, I'm going to go through more stuff because that's life, and we all go through things. But life is only ever 10% what happens and 90% how you choose to respond to it. Your results are a direct impact of your responses to any given situation at any point in your life. It's totally up to you to control the outcome. It is always a you problem, and if it's not, make it a you problem so that you can do something about it. I am so glad I have had that attitude towards things that have happened in my life, because I wouldn't be in this position right now. Stop playing the victim. Things happen to absolutely everyone, and moaning about it will get you nowhere. Go and do something about it. And again, Rach, you don't get it. I'm not you. I don't live your exact life, right? But I know for a fact that the more you say that, the worse you're going to feel. We literally have one chance here. Don't waste it sat there moaning and worrying about things that have either happened or things you can't change, or things that haven't even happened yet. Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. And if you're not where you want to be, do something about it. Stop settling for average. Stop thinking, oh, well, it's all right for her because she's got this, and it's all right for him because he's got that. Like, it's not all right for anyone. Just crack on. Work hard. And when you think you've worked hard, do more. Hard work doesn't get spoken about enough. Like, people just think, oh, they can do the bare minimum and get these amazing results. You can't. That's not how life works. But also, why the frickin' hell do you want to live a life like that? Go and make something of your life. And if you're not feeling great in yourself right now, go and do something about it. If something's just happened that's knocked your confidence, do something about it. Don't sit there crying and blaming other people all the time. Have your moment, move on from it. Crack on. Because when you get to the end of your life, you're going to be kicking yourself so much if you look back and go, I wasted so much time playing the victim, feeling sorry for myself and not doing anything. Just go and do the things you need to do, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much you don't want to do it sometimes. Just get it done. I hope this episode has been eye-opening for you, shall we say. I hope you have managed to resonate with some of the things that I've been saying, and I'd actually love to know if you have, so feel free to pop me a message on Instagram. Tell me your biggest takeaway from this episode. My Instagram will be below this episode, so click on the link there. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will catch you on the next one.